All right, welcome to the Creation to Cashflow podcast. On this podcast, we discuss strategies to maximize your creativity and help you achieve financial freedom. Hi, Michelle. How are you?
Hello, Nick. I'm doing good. I'm always fired up in our podcast because it's literally right after the Brands Meet Creators Q&A with everybody, and so it's like I'm excited and it's always good energy. So I'm always like I'm good, but it's because I mean it because we're just coming off of like the high of helping people.
Yeah, I'm used to speaking to like 50 to 100 people at once, and then after I'm like, okay, now I just got Michelle here. I'm like, hey, how are you, Michelle? After that, so good. I'm glad you're doing fantastic.
Well, yeah, and we just were together for an hour before this too, so it's you know how I am.
We're warm. We're warmed up for sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's dive in. Today, we're talking about how long does it take? It being whatever the fuck our listeners are trying to do. Honestly, like everyone has different goals. And oh my God, we're really seeing a theme lately of, I don't want to say impatience, like as if it's like a character flaw of people and it's like everyone's thinking the wrong thing. But it's more so just like I think we need to do an episode reframing that things take time, how to exercise your patience skills, and to just dive into this. Are you seeing as much of this as I'm seeing?
Oh, for sure. Especially lately, it's crazy.
I think it's because the more time goes on and like technology advances, people are getting used to instant gratification for
Mm.
things. Like I remember when I wanted to watch, I don't even watch TV anymore, but like when I used to want to watch a movie, like I had to order it from Netflix and wait for the CD to come or the DVD or whatever it was. And that would take days. And like now, like if you want to watch a movie, like you have that movie on your screen in less than 60 seconds.
Yeah, or you could just pull up your phone.
Yeah. And this is happening with everything. Like all of a sudden now, like I used to have to drive to Chipotle and now like I could have Chipotle here in less than 20 minutes. Like everything is becoming so instantly gratified that all of the meaningful things in life that are the opposite that take a lot of time, people are becoming a little more frustrated when things take time.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think that, of course, there's balance because it's great to have delivery. Like, I get all my groceries delivered because it saves me time and I'm able to spend time doing other things. And I hate going to the grocery store by myself because of past trauma there. So it's like, okay, let's figure out what the problem is, which you just said is instant gratification, right? But those things that we're using, we need to also learn to appreciate, right? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, totally. It's exactly that. And also the fact that the things that actually matter and like make us feel good in life take a lot of time. You can't get them instantly. Like right now, if I could just everyone I think I've mentioned this several times like I want to own a property in Puerto Rico. If someone just gave that to me right now, like I would be very happy, but I wouldn't be proud. I wouldn't be happy for that long. And the fact that this is like a massive goal that takes a lot of time and research and energy and planning and trips down there, like that's what's going to make it so special. And all of the things in life that really are special take time, like building a relationship with someone, buying a house, like getting married, building a business. Like these are all the things that are really fulfilling and everyone wants them to happen like instantly because we're getting used to things happening instantly.
Hmm. That's such an interesting way to put it. You're so right. I mean, having a baby, you have to wait the 9 months if you want a healthy baby, sometimes 8 months, you know? So it's just like reframing the expectations that we have of things. That is, yes, all the yes. I'm so excited to talk about this.
Yeah, you got to cook that baby up. Like it's not coming instantly, you know. You got to eat right. You got to take care of your body. You got to go get all the blood work and terrible things done all the time and all the tests and like I just totally scared Michelle out of
Oh,
ever having a
I'm
child.
like
But
all the things they stick you with and where they put it. I'm like, oh God, no.
yeah, that sounds like horrifying. But at the same time, like that's what people say to me. Like when I talk about like building a business or my big goals, they're like, "Oh, that sounds horrifying," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, that's kind of the good part is the fact that it's gonna suck a little bit, but I'm gonna feel great after, just like going to the gym. Like it's gonna kind of suck. I'm gonna feel great after versus all the things that make you feel great now suck after.
Mm. Wow. Whoa. Mic drop. Whoa.
Yeah, right? Like I could just go take the rest of the day and I could go take 7 shots of tequila right now and I'm going to be feeling great for a little bit and then I'm going to feel terrible for the next 24 to 48 hours. And like I could go just like take a nap this afternoon and I'll feel great in that moment and then I'm going to have the guilt for the rest of the week. But like if I do the hard thing that I'm going to be proud of, like the I would rather things suck a little bit now and I'm proud for the rest of my life than I do the thing I want to now and then I'm feeling guilty the rest of my life.
Right. It's kind of like the food, a lot of dietitians talk about this with food. It's like when people go to it for like emotional reasons, like they're like sad or they need dopamine, but then they feel like crap after instead of going to it for like fueling your body and like giving it the nutrients it needs. And sometimes it takes time to cook those things, but it's worth it. So, wow. This is just a good topic in general.
I love the cooking example too. I like to cook. Like I like to make I was going to say I like to make bread and then I thought about it and I was like, well, I've only done that like 5 times ever, but I still like it, I guess. And every time I've done it, like it takes a long ass time. I'm like, you gotta make all the dough, which is not easy. Then you gotta let it sit on the counter for like a day or two, and then you gotta like knead it out and do all these things and then bake it. It's a lot of damn work, but like there's nothing better than when you just made some fresh bread. The house smells good. I have bread that doesn't have seed oils in it, like canola oil and soybean oil and things that are not good for you. And I'm like, this took time and it makes me feel good now.
Yeah, it's so satisfying too. I mean, obviously, we've talked about cooking before and how I just don't make time for it. But there's times like I made these like gluten-free fudge brownies the other day and made a video about it. And it was so satisfying to like see it rise in the oven. And it was just like it's nice. Like it's something like you said, enjoyable. I'm glad I didn't get it brought to me. I wouldn't appreciate it and be proud of it. Just like you buying something across, I was gonna say the country, but in a different country.
Yes, exactly. Abraham Lincoln says, if you chop your own wood, it'll warm you twice.
Hmm.
And boy, that would have been a viral TikTok if Abraham Lincoln had TikTok. Like that would have popped off for sure.
Wow.
Let's now switch gears a little bit because in this, like, how long is it going to take? Whatever your it is, it's hard because we also see because of the internet and TikTok and things like that, we also see all these stories of people trying to do the hard thing you're trying to do and they figured it out in 2 weeks.
That's how I feel about that. It's just a big sigh.
Just a big sigh. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. Like we're seeing it right now on TikTok Shop. Lots of people who are making tons of money on TikTok Shop, and then other people that are like, I've been doing this for 8 months. Someone just came on in 2 weeks, like Abby, who we had maybe about 5 episodes ago. Abby made like $80,000 from a TikTok shop video, which is like amazing for her. She put in the work and she didn't know how long it was going to take. But other people see that and are like, well, she did that in 3 months. I've been doing this for a year and a half. And then they get frustrated it hasn't happened to them. And then they start taking on the victim's mentality. And you can count on everything crashing and burning once you think you're the victim.
Right. And Abby is totally the exception. That is not the rule. And the thing is, we even discussed this. Abby's been a photographer for so long. It wasn't 3 months of her doing anything creative or anything with social media or anything with the camera. No, she has experience. And I think that's why I sighed earlier because I'm like, people say this, like, oh, I just started this account 2 weeks ago and it's popping off. Okay, but what account did you have before? how long have you been posting? How long have you been in this marketing world? How long have you been looking at social media? Some people that are new are actually new. They don't even know how to post a video yet. So you can't compare that timeline because it's just not real. That's not an actual timeline. Like what your perception of 2 weeks is actually like 20 years in the making.
Yeah, it's true. Like I think I spent 9 months trying to get my first 1,000 followers on TikTok. Like it was, and I wanted to quit every single day, especially because you see all these other people that go viral and have these things happen to them. And I was like, oh, that's definitely making it harder. But something that will make things easier is if you stop putting yourself in a place where you're going to look at what other people are doing and compare yourself to it. So what I learned was like, that was kind of when I started coming up with like the keep your phone on the other side of the room and not next to your bed, that I haven't mentioned in a few episodes. I should start mentioning that
Mm-hmm.
again to people. Because in the first 20 episodes, I think it came up every episode as it should. But like the thing I had to learn was if I stop putting myself in environments where I'm comparing myself to others, then I won't compare myself to others. And now I can just focus, I can have tunnel vision on my goals. And I'm not sitting there being like, how long is it going to take? I've been doing this for 9 months and someone else did it in 2 months. I must be doing something wrong. And then I changed my strategy that was starting to work.
Well, another thing I hear people say a lot too lately is maybe this is just not for me because it's not working out for me. Maybe this is just not what I'm supposed to do. And that breaks my heart because I'm like, wait, do you like doing it? Like, say that you got paid 10 grand today. Would you enjoy it? Like, what is it that's stopping you? And I know I also have not mentioned this in a few podcast episodes. You know, the motivation app I have on my phone, it's a widget on my screen, it's a huge black widget on my screen, and there was a quote that you just reminded me of. Do you know who Larry Bird is? I don't know who that is.
Yeah, he's a famous like NBA player. He's retired.
Okay, so thank you. We've already discovered a few episodes ago I don't know anything about NBA or WNBA. Um, there's a quote that popped up yesterday. It said, I've got a theory that if you give 100% all of the time, somehow things will work out in the end. So it's like, don't focus on how each video is doing. Don't focus on how each client call is going. Just give it 100%, knowing, you know what? I want to do this. This is in my heart for a reason. Because I think, again, Nick, a lot of us are just surrounded by people that are kind of doing what we're doing, or we see people on social media that are creators. But I cannot tell you how many people I know, people in my family that have no desire to create content, have no desire to be a business owner. There's people out there that don't want what we want. And that's something I had to always remind myself like, in my world, everybody's a creator because that's who I surround myself with. But in reality, in the actual world, not everybody wants to do that. So if you have any inkling desire to be an entrepreneur, to start a business, to have a side hustle, to be a content creator, to do TikTok shop, there's a reason it's in you. And I need to just remind people that. Like, it's not every person walking this earth wants it. So, like, if you want it, that's your answer. Now you just got to give 100% all of the time and it will work out in the end.
So good. So well said. You're right. I also sometimes I forget that like not everyone needs me to throw a business idea at them and like but the hard part is that I love to help people
Hmm.
and some people don't even want to help themselves. Like they don't even realize that like they're focusing on the wrong thing. They're worried about like these big picture things. Like they set a goal and they're like I want to make $1 million this year, but they don't actually just like it's really hard to set a goal like that and like you really have to sit there and reverse engineer that and boil it down to like so what do I have to do in this moment. But most people just throw a goal like that out there and they're like I want to make $1 million this year, but they don't actually change anything in their day to day. And you really have to focus on not like what is your big goal. Like you do need a vision for that. And I fully support like having vision boards and doing all of that. But you do need to boil it all the way down to like, what do I also need to do today? And then tomorrow and then the day after to be on track to do that. Because a goal without action, that doesn't do anything.
Yeah. It's I mean, it's just a dream at that point. It's not a goal. Or you're not yeah, you've got to put in work. You've got to take action steps. I know we have a podcast about that, about how you and I both break down big goals, but like when my goal was to start a business or just maybe even just move to LA, I was like, okay, well, what do I need to do to get that? Or even to move into this apartment. I was like, I want to move into that high rise. I like my dream is to live in that high rise. I was like, okay, what are all the things I can do to get money? Because that's the only thing stopping me from moving there. And then, you just break it out into little, small, simple steps, not based on a timeline, but based on an action plan.
Yeah, like that's perfect. My Puerto Rico goal, I have every single step on my big ass calendar where you can see every day of the year on the one page. And I have every step on there. I'm like, by this date, I need to find a lender. By this date, I need to, or like these dates, I need to go visit. These dates, I may need to go visit. And the thing I love about that big ass calendar too is that everything, it's just little sticky notes on the day because you also have to be flexible with your plan. I might have like, I need to find a lender by April 10th, but like April 10th rolls around and maybe something went wrong or maybe I'm just not ready and I need to like make adjustments to that plan. It's easy to do. So this is not an ad for the big ass calendar, but that's just like my favorite way of like how do I make sure I hit my big goals, and I broke it down into the right steps so that now I'm not sitting there being like how long does it take comparing myself to others. I'm just like I got to do what's on like the plan is here. I just need to follow the plan. I don't give a shit about anyone else who happened to go like they're doing this same thing and they did it faster than me or they did it slower. I don't care at all. I got tunnel vision right now on my goals and I'm going to make them happen and I'm going to work towards them every single day and that's what it takes.
And I think that's why it's so important for people to have somebody like you in their lives, like to have a mentor or a life coach or just somebody that can help them with their plan. You're really good at planning like that. And so I think that whenever people come to you and they're like, "Nick, this is what I want," you're able to give them a growth plan. Like you're so good at breaking that down, which is why everybody should have a meeting with you. Literally, I'm just telling everybody listening, go have a meeting with Nick, go book a meeting with Nick because he can help you get your emotions out of what you're desiring and your fears and all of the like self sabotaging, and he'll be like, okay, this is what you should do. Obviously follow it to your best ability, but at least it's some place to start, and then you can change the plan along the way. But a lot of people just don't know how to get started, therefore they're comparing themselves and they're like, okay, well, that girl's kind of like me or that guy's kind of like me, and so maybe my life will look a little like theirs. Like, no, it will not. I'm telling you, your plan is very different, and that's okay. But you need to have some type of plan to start.
Here's another thank you for saying those kind words by the way as well.
I mean them.
Yeah, let's also I want to dive into an example of this. Someone sent me a message the other day, and I won't say their name, but they sent me a message and they were looking at an account and this account does a lot of stop motion Amazon product reviews that go viral like every time. It's a really cool account. And stop motion, for anyone who's like, what? It's like when you take a lot of pictures of something and you move the item or yourself slightly in each. So it's a bunch of pictures that look like a video.
Wait, I need to chime in real quick.
Okay,
Just
did I describe that
No,
horribly?
you didn't. A lot of people think that's what stop motion is. It can also be a video. All my stop motion is all video that I chop up to look like a photo. Just wanted to say that so people don't think they have to take photos. I like video because it keeps the same lighting and the same angle, and I won't accidentally move my phone or anything. So it could also be a video, but it looks like little photos. I just had to say that.
Good, really good add on there. Really good. I think that gives people a good vision of like what this is. So anyway, this account does a bunch of Amazon like stop motion videos for Amazon products, and that account probably makes a lot of money because every video gets like 5 million views, and they're on part 300 and whatever, meaning like they've done 300 of these videos. And I had someone reach out to me and they were like, oh my God, this works so well for them. I'm going to start doing those. And I was like, well, you can start doing those, but it's probably a ton of work. And I bet like these probably didn't always get 5 million views. Like you can't now just start doing that and expect to get 5 million views. And I was like, the thing you need to do is the same thing over and over for 300 days.
Yeah. It,
That's what you need to do. And then I gave them another example. I was like, look at this guy, the guy Jordan Ferrone or Ferroni. Other people do this too, but he's like the common one now, who takes an ice bath every single day. And he's on day 478 or something. He now has 1 million followers. And I was like, I bet no one gave a shit about these videos for the first 20, the first 80, maybe even the first 200 of these videos. But like, if you do the same thing enough times, especially in content, over and over and over, and get really good at it and get really consistent, people will start to catch on. Because honestly, his ice bath videos, they're really not that good. Like, they're not crazy edits. They're not super difficult for him to make. It's difficult to take an ice bath every day. I don't do that every day. I do it like once or twice a week at best. But like, that is the thing. And I explained that to him. I didn't see his message back yet, but I know it's going to be good. He's going to be like, "Oh, that's the perspective shift
mm,
that I needed." Cuz it's not stealing someone's strategy. It's making your own strategy. We're just following a set plan for a long time.
so true, Nick. And that's the thing. It's that compound effort, right? That will eventually blossom into something so beautiful. And I think that a lot of people just keep switching because they keep changing, like, oh, if this worked for them, it'll work for me. It's like that scenario I've talked about in the past where I was like, well, I'm going to be a lawyer because of the, like, I'm just good at it. I'm good at I would be a good defense attorney. I worked for an attorney for 3 years. Like, I wanted to be a lawyer. And I knew it was like what this person was doing. And they had money. And I was like, cool, that's what I'm supposed to do. But it was genuinely not. That would have been death for me, but it's because I was looking at them and being like, "Oh, if they can do it, I can do it." But I didn't enjoy it. Even though I was good at it, I didn't enjoy it. And so I think that's another question people need to ask themselves is like, "Okay, why are you wanting to do this? Is it because you think that it'll bring you money and that's what you're chasing, which is the wrong thing to chase? Or is it because you genuinely enjoy doing this thing? No matter what it is, whatever you enjoy doing, just do it for 300 plus days, like Nick is saying, and then see what happens. If it's ice baths, like think about it, ice freaking baths. I'm sure 10 years ago, people weren't like, I'm going to be an ice bath creator when I get older. Like, that's what I want to be when I grow up. No, but if you enjoy something, you can monetize it. Just keep going at it.
Yeah, that's it. That really is it. And it's so important that you mentioned that, like, you got to do something that you love. Because if you're doing something you hate for 300 days, like working a job you don't like, the opposite effect happens. Like, you are now making so much progress in the wrong direction, and it's going to have a compounding effect of like negativity and depression. And that is the opposite, which is why, like, to a degree, I'm like, well, I feel like everyone wants to start a business doing something they love. They just don't know it and they don't believe in themselves. And I know not everyone in the world can have a business, but that's why sometimes it's hard for me to be like, I can't force a great business idea on everyone, because some people truly do. They are happy with the way things are, but the way I see it, like, if you're happy with the way things are, then just keep doing it. But most people are not. Most people are struggling with something, and that's why they're like having this frustration of like, how long is it going to take for me? Because they're fighting to make money doing the thing that they love. And boy, is it a battle.
Right. And I will say, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit about everybody wanting to start one. Because, Nick, I forget too, there are some people out there that they genuinely find so much safety in consistency and in like showing, like, there are people with that kind of personality trait. And I love that because that's what used to be normalized. And now we're normalizing people thinking outside the box, being creative, taking risks, like doing what they want. And so there are people out there there are people out there that have they think about starting a business and they're like, "Why the fuck would I do that? I love my job. I love my like schedule. I don't want to have to think about doing something. I want to be told what to do." Like people I exist and we need both kinds of people. We need all kinds of people for this world to keep operating the way that it operates. But I did want to say that because there are people out there, not everybody wants to start a business, that the thought of that is like me thinking of going and working a job. It's the same kind of like, I want to puke and run away and go to Mars.
Yeah, it's true. Like, great reframe, because it's hard. It's hard to see that sometimes. But at the same time, like, our podcast listeners, thankfully, are the right kind of people that are like, well, I'm here to learn how to maximize everything I can get out of this life. And part of that on this journey is going to be tons of failures. And that's why people get impatient, is not because of like a lot of us can see, we're like, I know it takes time to succeed, but it's the daily failures, those hurt. And that's what makes people start to be like, I might quit. I might quit. I might quit. I might quit. Because when you're failing a lot, like when I was making content for 9 months, averaging 200 views, like, that's just like failure after failure after failure. And it's exhausting. It really can be so challenging. And that's when I like to start kind of injecting these success stories into my mind, not comparing myself, but like a book like Hustle, Believe, Receive, that's got 51 stories of people that were down and out, like living in their car, and then go on to build like a $50 million business. Like, that's when I like to start not comparing myself, but like finding the parallels there of like, I just need to remind myself that it takes time, and it might take a lot of time.
Yeah. And if you're doing something like starting a business and or starting a social media page or whatever, it's supposed to take time. It's a journey. You know, it's not like I'm going to do this and then I'm going to like quit and then go move to an island. Like sure, you can do that if you want, but it's one of those things where social media is always changing. Always. I mean, TikTok Shop was like not even this big a year ago. I only got on it last summer. It wasn't even a year ago that I've been on it. And so it's like that is only going to continue growing as long as it doesn't get banned. And so you've got to stick with it. Because if you just kind of half ass do it, or you're just like, oh, I'm going to do it for a year and then expect to have that money keep coming in, things are going to change. You know, like my Amazon sales went down because I got a lot of stuff from TikTok because TikTok Shop came up and they're like not wanting anybody to leave the platform and go to Amazon anymore. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I had to reframe what my strategy was, even though I felt like I was kind of coasting for a little bit. And so I think that my 10-year journey that I've been in social media, I could easily be like, I've only been doing TikTok Shop for 7 or 9 months or whatever. But that's not true because I've been making videos like this for a long time. I don't think that was a complete thought. I don't know where I was getting at with that, but
It may, I think it landed. It landed for me. On top of that too, like, I know you just mentioned like a change, and how like you're new to something, but also you're not new because you've been doing it for a while. And you know, could say a million times that overnight successes, they don't actually happen overnight. It may feel like it, but also like those failures, like sometimes you're gonna fail hard. um, I have been growing my pineapple plants for 2 years, and it takes like 3 to 10 years to actually get a pineapple from your pineapple plant. And like 2 years in, they are now both dead. I It got cold quick here in Jersey, and I didn't move them inside to a warm place in time, and they had like a couple cold days, and they never recovered. And now after 2 years, these plants that I've been growing that have gotten pretty big and I was very excited about, they're dead. They are so dead, and they could not be more dead. But I have another pineapple that I'm going to cut up this week because it is ripe, and you better believe I'm planting that bitch, and I'm just going again.
can you make a video for us, please? And actually, can you make a tutorial showing me how the F to plant a pineapple? I don't know. And I want to see your freaking TikTok 2 years, 5 years from now where you're like, haha, remember in 2024 when I planted this? And I want to see it before and after. Can you please, for all of us, teach us how to do that? I want to do that. Can I do it indoors or does it have to be like in the ground?
You could do it indoors, because it looks like you get good light
Yeah.
a lot. So I think you could do it. So yeah, I will. My plan was to like stitch that video that I did in like 2022 talking about it, but I guess now I'll stitch and be like, they're dead. They're so dead, but I'm restarting.
Perfect. I love it.
That's what it takes though sometimes. Like I'm not a quitter. Like I don't care how long it takes. I will grow my own pineapple one day and I will pluck that pineapple from the pineapple plant and I will enjoy it and honestly it might not even be that special. Like a lot of people say when they finally do reach that like massive goal, like I bet that pineapple's not even going to taste that good because I'm not a professional pineapple grower. It's probably way tastier to buy a good one from the store, but I'm going to do it anyway and it's going to be amazing.
Well, it's not about how it tastes, it's about the experience and what you did. It's not about how it tastes, it's about what it takes to get there.
Yes. And the journey
Yeah.
of it. And that's the part that is amazing. The pineapple itself at the end might just be a pineapple and it might not be that big. Who knows? What if I harvest it and it's not ripe enough? Like, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what I'm doing always. Sometimes we're just figuring it out and knowing that we will figure it out by failing. So now I know to be a lot more this was a 2-year lesson to be more diligent about making sure my pineapples are not outside when it's cold.
Yes.
That's a 2-year lesson. Took me 2 years of work to figure that out. And I could sit here and be the victim and be like, I'll never do that again. What a waste of my life. Or I could be like, okay, we learned that one the hard way. Let's get back on the horse and try again.
I'm kind of glad they died because we can, it's a story to tell. It's an experience you learned. It's a lesson you learned that you're sharing with other people. I think that's huge. And you know what? If your other one that you're going to plant this week dies in 5 years, then in 10 years we're going to be like, "Remember when?" Like you have to look at life that way, guys. Like you just have to.
I don't know about glad that they died,
Well,
but
I'm glad we could talk about it. How boring would it be if you're
right.
like, "I just tried this for the first time and I did it." That just doesn't make for a good story. It's not relatable. Sorry.
No, you're right. Like you're right. Silver lining for sure. So funny. I have trauma now from these dead
Oh my
pineapples,
god, stop.
obviously.
No, you don't.
But another thing is like also time really not super real. Time is just like this made up thing. And that's also why, like, on the journey to these big goals, you got to remember to take care of yourself and be happy along the way. Don't delay your happiness waiting for these big goals because you're setting yourself up for failure. Like, if these pineapples were the most important thing in my life, and maybe they were, but I wasn't taking good care of myself on this journey and then they died, like I'm going to be in a very bad place mentally, emotionally, physically, financially maybe versus if you still like on your journey to chasing your big goals, you actually do like take time to feel good and appreciate the journey and just remember that like what life is all about, then all of this just makes for a great story like you said. It's good for the plot.
Yeah, and we talk about a lot of this stuff, but I think it's so important to bring it up because if somebody's listening and they've never heard any of the other episodes, what are you celebrating? Like, what is it that you're not excited about? If you posted a video and it got 100 views, be freaking proud of yourself for executing, for posting, for doing something because you're going to learn and grow a little bit every single time you do something. And so it's like, don't don't compare your results to something that's going to make you feel bad about your actions when it comes to you making the email and sending it out, you having a sales call with somebody, developing a new video on YouTube or your first video. Like you can't I, can you please say what I'm trying to say? I literally can't put
Yep.
words into it, but it's just like some people just focus on the wrong thing to celebrate.
Yeah, you can't tie your happiness and how proud you are to the output. You have to tie it to the inputs that you made because the output may not be in your control, but the input of like, for example, if you're on a weight loss journey, like you can't just be proud about the number on the scale, because if 7 days in a row you burned 1,000 calories on the stairmaster, like that's what you got to be proud of, your input, even though the output on the scale might not reflect the hard work you're putting in yet, it will eventually. So you got to tie your like happiness to your inputs, not your outputs.
Yes, because that's what you can control, like you said. And that's the thing. It's like you can't control what TikTok shop video is going to go viral, but you can control the fact that you're posting the TikTok shop video, that you're trying, that you're showing up. That is like what you can do. That's all you can do. And you can let the rest in fate and just keep going. Show up 100% of the time, like that basketball player, Larry Bird.
Right. Larry Bird.
Yes, I
Yep.
remembered. Yes, like Larry Bird said.
Yes. Perfect advice. Anything else, Michelle, that we need to like re-emphasize or hit on one more time?
I think, Nick, so this morning's call, somebody said, like, somebody messaged one of our top creators and said, I feel like quitting. And that just broke my heart because I'm like, what is it that's causing you to feel like giving up on your dream? And I don't know. I guess I just want to say and emphasize one more time how important it is to normalize the time that it takes to get somewhere and the effort that it takes and the skills that it takes, and that you're not alone when you feel these things. Like, just because people are successful does not mean they had those moments, does not mean they did not have those moments along the way. I just want you, as Nick, who is so motivational, to just touch on that, because I just have a feeling somebody listening to this might need to just hear and just be reaffirmed in everything they're doing.
Yeah, last time we also heard that Monday, and I was like, okay, let's take a minute. We were on a Zoom call so you could see everyone, and I was like, let's take a minute, and I want everyone to raise your hand if you have given serious consideration to quitting as a content creator and just shutting down your business. And I think every hand of people that had their camera on, I think every hand went up. And then I kind of kicked it back to that person. I was like, so do you now see that like your problems are not unique? It's part of the journey. Like you're not like the only person that's struggled through this moment. Everyone has. And the hard part is like for someone listening, they might not be surrounded by like a supportive community that's able to be like, I felt that way too, which is why it becomes so important that you listen to things like our podcast or other podcasts and you read books and you try to fill your brain with information, reminding you to never give up, reminding you how valuable and how worthy you are, and reminding you that you are so important and like you have a mission in this world and you have to figure out what that mission is and you have to go fulfill it.
Yeah. And if it was easy, everybody would do it. It's just, it's not easy. And it might look easy. People might make it look easy, but I promise you, it's not. And it takes effort. But like Nick said, surround yourself with people who are going to remind you how amazing you are and how great of a job you're doing, whether you like your results so far or not. Like, showing up is enough. And actually listening to the thing in your heart that's saying to start something is enough. And I just need everybody to remember that daily.
Yeah, easy things aren't worthwhile.
No, like getting the house in Puerto Rico, like that's not, you would be happy, but it's like you wouldn't be as invested in it. Like it wouldn't feel the same.
Yeah, it's going to be way cooler to like make my first piece of content and be like, look at this fucking house or apartment or whatever. I don't, maybe it's a piece of land because I obviously still got to figure some things out, but like just to be like, look what I did. Like this took me years. I don't even know how long that's been a goal. Hopefully I could trace back like a date and be like, this is how long it took. This is how many times I cried. This is how many times I thought about quitting. And this is how I fucking did it. And here we are. And that is the coolest thing ever. That is so amazing. And that's why like difficult things are worthwhile. Like I want to run a marathon in my life. I am not at that point right now. I don't have the bandwidth to train for it, but like that's on the bucket list for sure. And when I do, like that's going to take a ton of training and it's going to be so frustrating and hard and I'm going to be hurting and take an extra ice bath and it's going to be miserable until that moment when I crossed the finish line and I'm like, this is what life is all about. It's about these big moments where you spent a lot of time working on something, but you still enjoyed every day along the way, even though some of those days might have been filled with tears and desires to quit.
Yeah. I always just tell myself, like, when I'm in that mode, I'm always like, Michelle, you're doing this because you're going to learn something and you can help other people. You're going to learn and help, learn and help. Like, I literally like repeat that in my head. I'm like, do it for the other people, do it for the future family, do it for the X, Y, and Z. So you have to find your reason. You do it for what? What do you care about? Who do you care about? And do it for them if you can't pick up yourself to do it for yourself.
Yeah, don't let them see you fail.
Yeah. We need
And
you.
don't be afraid to let them see you fail either, because you're going to fail.
Yeah. But it's not
But
real failure unless you quit.
I was going to say, yeah, but if they see you fail 45 times to then get you to the point where you finally succeed on this big mission, then it was all worth it.
Yeah, that's actually teaching them more, and that's honestly, I think it's so inspiring whenever that's the story, not you showed up and you did the thing and it was effortless.
Yeah. Yeah. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't leave us hanging. Please do not leave us hanging. If you love this one, go give us a rating or a review. If you haven't done it in a while, it probably lets you do it again. It means so much to us, and it truly is the reason why we do this. So let us know what you are loving, why you are loving it. You could go to creationtocashflow.com and you could ask us a question if you have a podcast idea or episode or guest that you want us to hit on. And you could find all of our the YouTube video or the short form clips at Creation to Cashflow. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Get Ahead with Nick, and you can find Michelle on Instagram and TikTok at MichelleJH with two L's, then four E's, JH. We love you guys, and thanks for listening.